Every time you retreat, you resist growth, power, respect, and the truth. You don't build strength by running from resistance. You build it by facing it. Welcome to Principles. Avoidance is temporary comfort with permanent costs. A lot of times we avoid things that we may be going through, situations we may be facing. We know what we have to do, and a lot of times we don't want to do it, so we avoid it. That ain't just you, that's me as well. That's natural to a lot of people to avoid certain situations because you don't really want to confront them head on. Not that it makes you uncomfortable, not that you just want to keep distance between you and other people or organizations. You avoid because you know who you can be and what side it'll bring out of you. Maybe you can't control your emotions. Maybe the situation is more mental and requires more mental capacity than what you can endure for that moment. Sometimes it's a protection. You're avoiding things to protect yourself from being hurt, being lied to, being betrayed, or hell, even being vulnerable. That's the truth. Sometimes we resist things that we should be facing head on. Sometimes the easiest thing is to retreat and avoid it because we like being comfortable. No one likes to be uncomfortable. We like to be super comfortable. Whatever you're doing in life, whatever you're dealing with, however you living, whatever your circumstances is right now, you're in a comfort zone. So there's a bit of complacency there just because you're comfortable. You're not willing to take chances. You're not going to risk certain things because you're comfortable. And I'm not saying nothing is wrong with that. What I say is this. My grandfather used to always say to me, if you want something in life, you got to take a chance. You got to take a chance. If you don't take a chance, you'll never have nothing. So whether that's you buying your first home, your first car, or you just starting out, your first career job, take a chance. Put yourself out there. Expose yourself to other elements outside of your comfort zone. Look at your resume. How does your resume work in other industries? Are there any transferable skills there? We got to take all of that into account. At the same time, don't be silent. Now, some things you want to do in silence. Silence can be considered a weakness, but it's also a strength. Some people may misinterpret your silence for avoidance. You ain't avoiding nothing. You seeing it. You just ain't speaking on it. In that situation, it's a strength. It's a strength. You know what I'm saying? So like me personally, I don't go out and just I'm always chatty or talking. I like to observe the room that I'm in. I like to observe the people that I'm closely associated with, whether that's friends, family, co-workers, whatever. But in my silence, I'm dissecting, I'm analyzing. That's a power. Some of us have it. Some of us have the ability to read people and pick up on energies from people. You can tell whether a person mean good for you or mean bad. You can tell if a person is trying to backstab you or not. I think that's a strength. At the same time, when you get out in the elements and you exposing yourself to different situations and people, you're gonna run into a lot of people that like to throw the brick and hide their hand. They like to do things in disguise. They like to hide the fact of what they did. Throw that brick and hide their hand. You don't see where it come from, but you feel that brick. It always shocks you the most when you see where it came from. Indirect shots, passive aggression, anonymous criticisms, all behind your back. You may think the biggest person in your corner or the biggest group of people in your corner is really in your corner the whole time they're working against you. You can't see it. You got a big heart. That's the topic for today. Being able to stand in it when it get hard, being able to face whatever outcome you got to deal with. We don't want to avoid it. We don't want to retreat. All that resistance in some factions, it'll weaken you. In others, it'll strengthen you. It'll prepare you for the position you're supposed to be in. But sometimes we can't see that. We're thinking whatever we feel or whatever we going through is for that moment, for that season, but we don't understand the outcome on the back end. We love to be comfortable. No one goes outside every day and say, you know what, I want to do something that's very uncomfortable. Going to the gym and exercising for a lot of people consistently is very uncomfortable. It takes drive and discipline to continually do something you don't want to do, even though you know it's the best thing for you. Eating the right foods, same concept. But sometimes we avoid it because it's easy to pull up to that fast food restaurant, get a quick sandwich or a piece of chicken. We avoid the things that we need to be doing the most because they either make us uncomfortable or we just resisting what we need to be doing. We don't hold ourselves accountable. Accountability speaks to a person's character. Accountability speaks to who a person is, the things that they do, what they stand on. How many people have you been around or witnessed that when confrontations come, they try to distance themselves, they try to get away from it? What's the reason behind that? Ask yourself that question. If it's you, ask yourself that question. What are you avoiding? If you have feelings on your heart, you need to get it out. You don't want to harden your heart and harbor these ill feelings towards someone or an individual or an organization because that resentment is going to build. And as it builds, you're going to get worse. And your animosity and anger and frustration towards that person or organization is going to get worse. So communicate your feelings. Communicate how you feel. Don't care what nobody think. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. If you ain't with it, say you ain't with it. If you disagree, stand on that point. Discuss it respectfully, politely. You don't have to take personal shots at a person to get a point across. If we're talking about something that's business related and you get personal with your attacks, you already lost your position. You already weakened where you are. You have no more argument. That's the truth. So communicate it. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever you feel, and communicate all of those feelings. Get them out there. The people closest to you should know how you feel and why you move in the way that you move. Now, sometimes they may not understand that, and everything ain't for everyone to understand. They may look at what you're doing and see confusion, may see chaos, but once it yields dividends, okay, yeah, I didn't see that. You know, the whole tone changes, the whole vibe changes. But don't put too much energy in avoiding the things that you should be facing head on. Don't put too much energy in retreating. A lot of battles you're going to deal with in life, you need to face them head on. The greatest lessons are there. They come from mistakes. They come from confusion. They come from arguments or a good dialogue that can be considered an argument when it's not. You didn't retreat. You stood on business. You got it out. That's where I'm at. That's where I encourage you to be at. Don't hold those feelings in, don't hold those thoughts, and everything on your brain ain't meant to come across your lips. You know what I'm saying? Everything on your brain ain't meant to come across your lips. You can't speak on everything that you're thinking because everything that you may be thinking might not be fit for the audience within your surrounding. So we have to understand where we at, who we dealing with, so we can deal with the problems. We can strengthen who we are, our identity. And the truth is, the more you expose to people that you deal with or companies that you deal with, how you feel about a certain situation, the better off you'll be, the better you'll feel. When you lay down at night, you're not thinking about what you avoided. Because when you avoid things for a period of time, it's going to stay on your brains. You're going to continually think about it. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? You're going to continually analyze. You're going to drain yourself of energy for what you didn't do. You're going to frustrate yourself of energy for things that you avoided. You can be bold. You can be calm. You got to have a good temperament. Don't fly off at the handle. Just be easy with it. Be subtle. Be humble. Practice extreme discipline. Don't allow your emotions to rule you. There's some situations where your emotions will rule you. There's some situations emotionally that life never prepares you for. You only deal with those emotions when those situations arise. So in those moments, if you come out of character that would, the character that people are used to, make sure that you follow up and apologize. Make sure they understand where you're coming from. A lot of people don't have that. They don't want to extend that gratitude. They don't want to be thankful. They don't want to be respectful. But I think that's an honorable thing to do. Have conversations. Practice that accountability. Let your disciplines rule you. Don't be ruled by your emotions. Don't be ruled by your emotions. Pressure. We all feel it. We feel it from different angles, different places. I remember the first time I heard the saying, if you want a diamond, to get that diamond, it takes a lot of pressure to get that precious stone. It takes a lot of pressure to get a precious stone. That right there, when I first heard that saying, I was, man, that's a bar. That's a bar. For the simple fact that we don't think about it like that. We may buy our significant other, a diamond wedding ring, some sort of diamond jewelry. We've seen it. We all got some frame of reference in regards to a diamond, but we never think about the process it takes to become a diamond. We don't think about that pressure that is needed to create that precious gemstone. That's how life is. You go through a lot. Forgive my dog for barking. But we go through a lot of different things, a lot of different situations. We feel all this pressure from different angles, from different people. All that pressure. But when you fast forward, if you're a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, you trying to figure life out, you trying to get some bearings, you trying to get some footing down, get a good foundation up under you, you feel an extreme amount of pressure. You fast forward 10, 20 years, you sort of see what all that pressure did to you in a positive manner. It didn't break you down, it strengthened you. It didn't weaken you, it strengthened you. All that pressure, everything that you was dealing with, every situation that you was facing, created a crazy, enormous amount of pressure. But now you got a precious gemstone. You have something tangible to speak to your efforts. I'm using a diamond as a reference as to the pressure, but it could be a house. It could be you buy a brand new car. It can be you make a great investment. You got risk and pressure. They're all built in. They're all intertwined. The reward of facing things head on. You got better clarity. You can see. Your vision is clear. Your direction is clear. You have relief. You're not harboring those feelings in. You're not holding things back. You're not holding on to things that you shouldn't be holding on. You're not carrying the weight of something that ain't yours to carry. Ain't your burden. You see things clear. So you feel relieved when you in certain feelings. Then you have a greater level of respect for yourself, a greater level of respect for the people around you, a greater level of respect for those that you associate yourself with. All of this plays on your character. And then growth. All that adds to your growth. Who you were 20 years ago isn't who you are today. A lot of times, people remember the negative moments. A lot of times, people recall who you were versus who you are. Who I was 20 years ago is someone totally different than who I am today. But in saying that, depending on the capacity in which you refer to this in your life, and I use myself as an example, the person I was 20 years ago, I'm not that same person today. But that same person 20 years ago, I buried him. Still in me. Like, don't get confused. Don't think that you could just walk all over me. Like, that person is still there. That beast is still there. That monster is still there. But I'm not exposing people to that. I'm not trying to be that person. I'm trying to look around and see all the growth, see all the seeds that got planted, see all the fruit that is bearing. It's like a fruit tree. You can go to your, local feed store, Tractor Supply, or hardware store, and you can buy a fruit tree. But it takes years for that tree to bear fruit. When you put it in the ground, you got to nurture it and water it and make sure it's getting what it needs for a period of time before it takes its own. And then you have to sit back and wait. A lot of life lessons are just like that. The things you're doing today, you might not see the results till years down the road. But so many times we want that instant gratification that we want it today. We're trying to harvest whatever it is today. Once you get to this point in your life where you don't retreat, where you don't avoid, where you are accountable for your actions, that's a level of freedom that a lot of people don't achieve. That's a level of freedom that a lot of people never felt. For the simple fact that all of the time that they've been avoiding things, they've been allowing certain feelings and emotions to harbor. They've been building resentment. They've been frustrated. They've been silently creating chaos. Some of it intentional, some of it unintentional. They don't want to be uncomfortable. But now you're free. The strongest person in the room ain't the loudest. This goes back to what I said earlier about silence and the power in silence. The people who are silent You got to watch them just as much as you watch the people that are loud and pronounced, the people that always need attention. You got to watch them even closer than you watch the silent person. The silent person, you can't see what they're doing because they move in silence. That's a power. That's a strength. It can also be considered a weakness depending on the circumstances in which you're moving. But when you super loud, when I hear loud people, I hear arrogance. Sometimes I hear ignorance. Sometimes I hear lack of vulnerability. I'm going to be loud and overly projecting to make it feel like I'm the strong one in this room, but they're not. And the silent one in the room tends to be the strongest. The people that come in the room, sit down, just observe, that's a strength. They're strong. You don't know what's going through their head. You can't gauge them. They don't wear their emotions on their face. You don't know how to come at them if you got to come at them, even if it's just for a simple ask. You don't know how to gauge it because they don't give you nothing to go off. But they can be your biggest advocate. They can be your biggest supporter. They can be the one that's in your corner making sure that you're doing things the right way. But they like that discreetness. You may have ran into people like this before. They like being in the back room. We see it all the times with companies. We see it all the time in businesses. Whoever owns the company don't necessarily want to always be seen. But they got a team, and that team is visible. Sometimes you got to limit your personal visibility. Sometimes if you're a person that you like to always post on social media, what you doing, your feelings, how you living, you being overly visible. When people don't know how you feeling, don't know your emotions, don't know how you living, but you doing well, you free. You're not tied or married to an idea of I gotta keep this going. I gotta show people that I'm bossed up. Big bosses don't make a lot of noise. Big bosses don't even talk loud. They're soft spoken. They're quiet. They're silent. But they don't retreat. And if you have a conversation with them and they tell you their life story, you'll be amazed at some of the things that they overcome to get in the position that they're in. Years pass by. This business failed, that business failed, this job didn't work out, that job didn't work out. These are all hurdles. But once you get to where you're supposed to be at in life, you see it, you recognize it, you wake up. It's no longer an idea, it's no longer a dream, it's no longer a want. I'm living in a space where I'm happy. I'm not complacent. I'm still willing to take risks because I always want better for myself. So I don't settle. I don't settle. When I pray, I ask for an opportunity. It ain't always about money. It ain't always about asking for money. It's not always about getting more money. I know that's the goal for a lot of people. Sometimes you need to just wait on the opportunity. Sometimes you need to pray for the opportunity. Because if you get a certain opportunity, everything that you want will follow because of that opportunity. If you get an opportunity to to buy an apartment complex, the the opportunities that follow because of that, I have you set up to where you want to be. It's all stepping stones. There's many people that work jobs that they don't like, but they love the money, and having that money is a stepping stone. Working at that company is a stepping stone to get them to where they want to be. There's some guys that I know they work night shift. They only want night shift jobs because they got a business that they run during the day. So they may get 4 or 5 hours of sleep And they may do this for 5 to 10 years. But once they get over that hurdle and they're able to only work for themselves, they got all that freedom there. They didn't retreat. They didn't settle for the fact of, I'm going to just do this because it works. I want more because this will work too. All the battles you deal with, all the situations that arise, no matter your age, how young or how old, if you're listening to this, face them head on. Because sometimes you may think what's facing you and coming at you head on is stronger, but you got more will, you got more drive. And as y'all get closer to button heads, you see that person position weaken. They start to buckle. They back down. Wasn't expecting you to continue that forward progression towards them. You wasn't retreating. You wasn't retreating. I remember I might have been 16, maybe 15, 16, or 17. I was in high school, right? I grew up on a farm and we're corralling the cows to load them up, go to market. I got one coming at me and I'm going at it. The legs buckled. They went the other direction. So even in that moment, I know this animal was bigger than me, definitely more stronger than me, but I didn't bow down to it. It retreated. I showed that power and strength and dominance over it. You got to treat your life in the same manner. You got to control your narrative, control your emotions, control your character. Face everything head on. Don't avoid it. That's the best thing in the world for you, for longevity, for your peace, for your mental peace. Don't avoid situations. Face them head on. Don't hold your tongue. Speak what you feel in a respectable manner, right? In a respectable manner, because you don't want what you're feeling to come out and be misinterpreted inappropriately. And now you create another problem for yourself because you couldn't control that narrative. Don't put yourself in that position, but put yourself in a position where you can grow. You can be powerful. You can be fruitful, not just for you, but for your family. Be abundant in your thoughts. Be abundant in your prayers. Wish the best for people, but don't retreat. Don't retreat.